It's estimated that nearly 50 million people here in the United States they face food insecurity. 17 million of those kids. And the person that knows that all too well, Christopher Ivey, he's the marketing and communications director for Forgotten Harvest. He joins us now on the MegaCast. You have a tough job.
Yeah. Good morning, Ronnie. How are you?
Thank you for
Yeah, we
being with
do.
us.
Those national numbers are really staggering. I mean, locally here in Metro Detroit, because of before the pandemic, there was about 584,000 people that we deem as food insecure. And after the pandemic and through sort of all of the things up until now, we're looking at more like 700,000 people. So that number is just it's staggering when you think about it.
But you're also dealing with this at a time in our country where a lot of donations are down as well because corporations aren't giving like they once did.
Yeah, well, it's really a challenge. And I will say that, through the holiday season is typically is the largest giving season. But what I can say is that our community has really, really stepped up and helped Forgotten Harvest through this. We've actually had some really large corporate donations come in. Some fantastic partners have really stepped up. We've had, Forgotten Harvest has been here for 30 years, and we've had some really good, long-standing relationships. And when these kind of things happen, they know, those corporate partners and individuals actually know what Forgotten Harvest can do and know the power that we can do and the ability to get, our 45 plus million pounds of food out into the community. And they know that really, between volunteerism and, financial support, those are the two biggest things we need in order to do that and do that mission every day. This community has helped us and supported us financially to help us get it done. So it's actually been really staggering to see the outpouring of support that we've received.
What's it been like for you on the volunteer front? Are people more comfortable coming out and helping you during this time?
Well, I can say that people still want to help. And in order to give them that opportunity, we've actually, through the pandemic, in order to help us actually stockpile extra food, our warehouse in Oak Park is our primary warehouse, and it's only about 30,000 square feet. And we filled that, most of that is refrigeration. Some of it is dry goods storage. In order to deal with the pandemic and actually help and have volunteers come in and help, we leased additional space in Royal Oak so that we can actually have our volunteers creating food boxes and sort of sorting through and gleaning product. And we can do that in a safe, socially distanced way. We've got all the protocols in place with masks and gloves and aprons if they want them, and even face shields. So I will say that volunteerism was really, really difficult, March, April, May, June. And as people became more comfortable in understanding that some of the safety protocols that we have in place, that we've been very vocal about sharing those. And people understand that those things will help sort of mitigate the transmission of the virus. So we put all those protocols in place, and we've seen our volunteer numbers have come back up through the holidays. But we do anticipate January and February are typically really slow for us with volunteers. And the biggest thing is our corporate volunteers. We've got large corporate partners, Quicken, all the big three automotive companies. Part of their corporate ethos is giving back to the community. And those employees are really not able to do that because they have to maintain their own safety so they can continue working. So we have seen a downtick in that, but we have our individual volunteers have stepped up again and helped the organization. Just for some numbers standpoint, Forgotten Harvest in a typical year, we have almost 17,000 volunteers a year. And this year will be a little bit lower, but because of our extra space that we have, and we actually have our mobile pantry system distribution system that we have volunteers at that as well, we're able to get more opportunities. So instead of everybody coming to our one warehouse in our farm in Fenton, we've got multiple locations. So we're kind of spreading those 15,000 volunteers over multiple locations. So the need is greater, and the need is always there for volunteers. And it's a really easy, great way for someone to give back, because ultimately I think people do want to help their neighbors and help in the community, and that gives them the opportunity to do that.
And so talk a little, excuse me, talk a little bit more about the mobile food pantry. How is that working?
It actually is working really, really well. So, and again, I'll go back to sort of the beginning of the pandemic and kind of when the lights went off in March. A lot of our distribution network is other agency partners. We have over 250 agency partners out there, and those agencies are primarily run by volunteers as well. So when all of this sort of happened, businesses closed down, pantries started shutting down. We had to continue to get the food out there. So we had a test pilot program called our Forgotten Harvest on the Go mobile pantry system, and we really ramped that up. We opened, like in short order, I would say within a couple of weeks, we had 17 mobile sites up and running. And these were primarily run by Forgotten Harvest staff members in the beginning. Now they're run by like sort of super volunteers and other volunteers right now, or we find a community partner to take them over ongoing. But then this mobile pantry system is a way for us to continue to get the food into the community, into areas of need where there may not be an agency partner or a brick and mortar pantry for us to be able to distribute to. So it's been really super successful.
How does it work for individuals that maybe don't have transportation though?
Well, that is part of the challenge because the way the mobile pantry system works is that the cars will line up and they'll sort of open their trunk up, and we'll have volunteers or staff put things directly in their trunk so we can limit the number of touch points. So one of what you're referring to in a bigger picture is like sort of the access problem, right? And that's one of the things that the super sites let us do. And it's part of also what our ongoing strategic plan, where we're trying to figure out access, supply, knowledge, and heightened community awareness. And those are sort of the four go forward points of Forgotten Harvest as we're looking forward to, the rest of this year and the next 30 years. Those are the things that we're really going to work on. And access is really about optimizing our local emergency food distribution network, using the food insecurity index to kind of pick areas of need, pick areas of need where there's not currently a distribution site, and then kind of set up the ability for people to get the food they need. Forgotten Harvest doesn't have the bandwidth to deliver door to door. It's just not something we can do. It's not our strong point. It's probably not something we would ever do. But the goal is to have enough agency partners and, whether it's a church organization or a food shelter, a food pantry or whatever it would be, to have enough of those pantry partners where someone would not have to drive across town. We kind of look at everything in a grid. It's like a 2-mile grid, and we're trying to get pantries spaced out strategically in areas of need that if someone had to walk, they could. And we also have the ability for someone to be, and I'm not using the right word, but a surrogate for someone else so that they can pick up for their neighbor. So, let's say there's someone in a senior center and they're picking up for 4 of their friends. We have that ability for someone to be able to do that, and then they can take it back and distribute it, to their friends and neighbors that don't have transportation.
Oh, what do you think is going to be a positive shift for your organization coming out of this crisis?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one. I think what it is, as I mentioned, like some of the things, every area will have a positive impact, or this will change every area of the organization. Like I said, we've got the access, supply, knowledge, and awareness. The pandemic has really sort of refocused the community awareness, and it's opened the door for us to have conversations with some of our partners that they may have not been ready to have. It's also given us the ability to sort of pull forward and to prove some of the things that we thought were probably a direction the organization was going to go, like the mobile pantry distribution sites for one. That was a test pilot we had that we knew worked, but we didn't know that it would work at scale. We've proved that it worked at scale, and it works really well. So those kind of our CEO, Kirk Mays, is really great in his thought leadership, in his ability to sort of project forward what the community needs are. And we have we have a rolling strategic plan that focuses on the 4 pillars we talked about. And then we we look at everything through a lens, and we call it the 4 R's, and it's the right food at the right place in the right quantity at the right time. And that is really our vision, our go forward vision for Forgotten Harvest for the next 30 years. Providing that right food in the right place. So we're finding the right partners, the right food mix, a more balanced mix of food where there's a protein and a vegetable, and the health benefits of fresh green beans versus canned green beans. That's a big focus of the organization, right? Providing that fresh, nutritious food, making sure that it's in the right quantity, making sure that people are getting enough, but they're not getting so much that it's going to go to waste. And at the right time, when do they need it? For example, we've got one of our mobile pantry sites that we've set up. We've got a site in Sterling Heights that we started last week. We've actually moved location because there was such an increased need. So, excuse me. We went from the Civic Center, and we're going to Joseph Dahlia Park, and that pantry is scheduled in the evening from 4:30 to 7:30. And that's because in that area, we know that there's a lot of people that are still, working or maybe working a little bit less, but they still need the help to get through. Forgotten Harvest is something different to everybody. Some people, we are, the end of the month, they need a little bit of extra help to get through, when other people, maybe we're all the help they get. And so we try to be what we can for everyone. We can't be everything for everyone, but we try to do what we can do, with our limitations.
Well, you mean so much to so many people. You're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. We're speaking with Christopher Ivey. He's the Marketing and Communications Director for Forgotten Harvest. You are so important to our community. We only have another few seconds here with you because we need to get to Representative Brenda Lawrence. But Chris, before we let you go, if people want to volunteer or donate, how can they do so?
Yeah, they just go right to our website, forgottenharvest.org, O-R-G. And if whether they want to donate their time, which would be volunteering, donate their resources, which would be financial support, or just share the knowledge with someone that's out there. I mean, everybody knows somebody that's in need or has been impacted by this pandemic. Just give the information to somebody that help someone get what help they need. And don't be embarrassed to ask either. That's the other thing too. We're here, we've been here for 30 years, and we're happy to help, and you just have to ask for it.
The logistics involved in what you and your team do really is amazing. It's like you said, being able to get the right food to the right people at the right time, so the food doesn't go to waste as well. Thank you so much. And please extend our gratitude to your team members as well for their dedication, their commitment to the public during this crisis.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for the platform to be able to talk about what we do. It's really important to get the word out there so that people know we're here to help.
So again, if you want to volunteer Forgotten Harvest, go ahead and check out their website and sign up to be a part of the solution during this crisis.